Welcome to Culmination, where we're not experts, but we sure have a lot to say. In the process of becoming our best self, I have with me the snare drummer Aidan and Roley to discuss perseverance. With that said, let's get started, guys. So, Aidan, what is perseverance?
So perseverance is like when there's something difficult ahead of you, right? Or something that you want to achieve, but despite all that, you still push through it and achieve your goal of whatever it is, like getting better at sport or like studying for school. It could be like anything, I feel like. Or even like something that's like a video game or something fun that you do.
Yeah.
Like for example, all these esport players, they, I mean, it may seem like, oh, it's not that hard what they do, and they make money off of this easy stuff, but like, they probably spent like a decade playing the game that they play and sacrificing a lot of other stuff.
Right.
It's like a lot. That's a lot of what goes into perseverance as well. Like, it's not just like, oh, this is a really hard thing I got to overcome. Like, obviously, we don't have unlimited time for everything, so you got to set back other stuff for that,
Yeah,
right?
that's a good point.
Yeah, so gosh, there's a lot of things that encapsulate what perseverance is in your life that you may not realize.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just think of like literally any problem. Like, it could be even like, I don't know, getting yourself to brush your teeth twice a day.
That's true.
Like, yeah, recently I've been too lazy. Like in the morning, at like 6:30, I get up from school and I'm just like, you know what, I'm not really trying to brush my teeth. So I mean, it sounds silly, but you know,
It's true, yeah.
obviously. So I don't know. It can just be really anything. So I mean, if you want to be a better version of yourself through that perseverance, I'd say just go for it and don't give up. Because when you give up on your goals and stuff, I mean, you're just letting yourself down, really. Like,
Right.
if you want to get into a certain college and you just give up on that, that's obviously not a good thing. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, what's a personal example for you?
All right. So I got quite a few examples of perseverance
Sure.
more recently. So, because obviously, when I'm a little kid, I don't have too many responsibilities. But one of them was practicing snare drum,
Mm-hmm.
which is it was a thing I picked up in fifth grade. I didn't really pick it up, but I signed up for band in fifth
Yeah.
grade for the percussion section, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at first, I was like, ah, this is boring. So then, but then, but then, our teacher, Mr. Lamb, shout out to the homie. He showed us a video of I'm sure you might remember this. I'm not sure. I think I was in class with you. He showed us the video of Double Beat, some drumline playing some tune called Double Beat, and I saw it and I'm like, oh my god, that's so
Hmm.
cool. So then ever since then, I was just practicing and practicing at home
What inspired
every
you
day.
about it exactly?
I don't know. These dudes, they just looked so cool to me. I don't even know why. And it just sounded so uniform.
Hmm.
And I've just never heard anything like it. And it was such a simple tune, but it sounded so cool because of like the three different instruments, like the bass drum, tenors, and the snare. So kind of not it didn't just motivate me to get better at snare drum, but it also motivated me to join a drum line,
Mm-hmm.
which is what ultimately led me to join the high school drum line. I swear, if it's kind of crazy to think about, if I didn't see that video, I probably would have a completely different life than I do right now. I probably wouldn't even be in marching band. I mean, I probably wouldn't be a snare drummer. I mean, just one video. I mean, just thinking about the impact of that's kind of crazy. But about persevering through practicing, there was a lot of times where I was just like, I have no idea how these guys are so good. Not just like the people in that video, but I looked up all these different drum lines and people playing insanely hard stuff, and I just feel like,
Right.
how do people do that? And I'd practice like hours a day, literally, on my practice pad next to my computer.
Hmm.
And I mean, I could kind of tell improvement, but like, I wanted to match their technique and I just couldn't pull it off. And it was so uncomfortable as well. And I was just like, oh my gosh, am I ever going to be able to do
Right,
this?
because it's like you're watching these guys playing quote unquote perfectly, and here you are like
Yeah,
as an amateur
crazy.
trying to get to that level. Like it happens, the growth happens so slowly, but at that given
Exactly.
point, it's like, dude, like I'm never going. How can I match
Yeah.
this? Right?
Yeah, exactly. But what you got to realize is like, these dudes were probably also in the same spot, you know? They
Right.
weren't, it's not like they practiced for like a month and they're just as good as they are right now. You got to think about like, you know, like what makes sense. Like they probably practiced starting like at the beginning of high school, maybe even before, and it took them years and years of dedicated work to get better.
Hmm.
So I think once you realize, I don't know, once you like realize the scale of it compared to other people, and it's like it's not as bad because I mean, if one person gets like really good at it in like a month or two, that can be demotivating. But you got to think about it like how most people get through it.
Yeah.
A lot of hard work.
Yeah.
So I did start noticing improvement with my chops, which is like how basically just how fast you can play
Hmm.
and all the technical stuff. And once I started noticing like improvements, I also I got more motivated because like, oh, I didn't just hit a wall, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also with perseverance, like using different techniques to like measure your growth is a really good way of getting more motivated. What I mean by that is like if I played constantly for 3 months straight, I probably wouldn't really be able to memorize, okay, I was exactly this good 3 months ago, now I'm exactly this good. But
Right.
if I like recorded myself with a phone to see my technique and see how fast I could play,
Mm.
and I could literally see that growth, and that's when I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I'll try to beat my improvement and improve a lot more next month.
Yeah. It's like a
So that's
checkpoint.
what, yeah, exactly. Checkpoints really help with it, I've noticed. And that's also why, like, I guess school is kind of hard to persevere through because, like, you take a year of classes and then next year you're on all new classes starting from, a whole new level. So it's like, I mean, if it was like one class throughout multiple years, it'd be easier to see if you're getting better at it through checkpoints.
Oh, it's kind of like
But
that if you think about it, like English 9, English 10, English 11.
yeah, that's true. That's true. But with like other, like, I guess elective classes, like, I don't know, like cooking or something, if that was like a difficult class, you'd only have like a little bit of time to do that.
That's
I
fair,
don't
but I
know.
mean, you could always well, if you think about it, with something like cooking, you'll remember your first dish first versus like one later down the road. Like when your first dish
Yeah.
is like just spaghetti, which requires you to cook pasta, and that's essentially the whole recipe. And then later down the road, you're making like a smoked sirloin with all these special seasonings.
Oh yeah.
Like I think there's a little bit of a difference.
Yeah, it's true. That is true, but I don't know. For me, education is kind of hard to get motivated for. But with the snare drum, I mean, I'd practice like every day. I'd I'd even like practice while on call with my friends, and then we'd be playing a video game like CS:GO together, and I'd just like go AFK in the middle of the match and start practicing, and they'd all just be like, "What are you doing? You need to play the game." I'd be like, "All right, I'm sorry." But yeah, I guess all that paid off when I got into ninth grade to the drumline audition, and I got snare the first year.
Right, and that's not very common, right?
It's not very common. No, I was just, gosh, I was really, really happy about that.
Right.
Yeah, but and so when marching band started, I got this sheet music. I'm not gonna like, I'm not trying to like cap on anything,
Right,
right?
right,
But
yeah.
I saw the show music. I'm like, this is so easy, and that kind of demotivated me. I'm not gonna lie.
Wait,
The audition,
that's really weird
mhm,
if you think about it, because it's like
yeah,
you spent all this time building yourself up and had all of that passion, and you got to a point where you're so good that you're past, like, the average, and I guess in this case, the
yeah,
average is the music you received, and now you're
yeah,
too good to the point where it's
yes.
too easy.
I saw the music. I'm like, wait, is this what we're playing the entire year? And I got so demotivated. I'm just like, I don't even care anymore. So I just stopped practicing. Honestly, I'm not sure what went through my brain to demotivate me so much. It's still something that like interests me.
Right.
Like, I don't know. All of a sudden, I went from like super passionate to just like I don't even care.
Did things
But
get
yeah,
worse for you when you stopped caring?
uh, okay, so things got worse. Depends what you mean. Like,
Like, the
so my goal,
experience or your
I, yeah,
your,
yeah, I see.
ability?
So my ability somehow, I've always been told that your ability like degrades over time if you don't play for months. But oh, that was like half true. I mean, I would if I played for a day, I'd get all my skill back, right?
Hmm.
So my ability didn't really change,
I guess you were still
but
practicing either way, just because of the
no,
season
no, no,
itself.
yeah, 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 yeah. And well, I mean, I'm in like between, in like the breaks when we didn't have rehearsal and all that. Like I'd come to rehearsal and I'd be like the same. I don't even though it wasn't that long of a break still.
Yeah.
But like what I did notice was I came to marching band, I just did not enjoy like hitting the snare drum nearly as much as I used to. Even I don't even though instead of just being at home in a practice pad, I was like in a whole ass drum line, I should have been like really excited, but like
Mm.
I just completely demotivated. So that was really weird. So that kind of brings a whole new like thing of perseverance. So now it's not just persevering to get better at snare drum. Now it's persevering through marching band even when I don't like playing. So obviously like the 3 hour blocks when it's just me playing snare drum in sectionals, like that's not going to be super fun when I'm not motivated to do it.
Right, and you could have just given up if you hated it, right? Or maybe not hated it.
Yeah, I could. No, I know. I really could have like just pulled, any one of those kids who like just quit out of the season for seemingly like no reason.
Mhm.
I really could have just done that, but I was just like, that'd be kind of rude. And I still talk to friends here a lot, so I feel like that'd be worse. That's also another thing. Like when you give or when you think of giving up, I mean, you have to think of like, okay, what are the consequences?
Mm.
I don't think you should take giving up lightly.
Yeah.
But yeah, oh, where was I? Oh
Well,
God.
that's a
So
yeah, yeah. I was just gonna say that's a good point because it's like, how does everyone around me feel? Like, now there's gonna be an empty spot in the marching band, so, like, that essentially ruins the whole image that
exactly.
everybody's like the art you're creating in terms of formation, as well as a
Yep.
missing part. So it's just there's a lot of consequences.
So while I agree with that, but like you can't. What also causes a problem is thinking about that too much. You can't like think about what other people, how your stuff affects other people too much, or else you're just gonna. That might also affect other things badly. Like I don't know, being too scared to do something because what are others gonna think, or I don't
Right.
know.
That's a good point. It's like if you really needed to leave because you just absolutely hated it and there was no value anymore, yeah, like you need to
Yeah,
get out of that.
yeah, yeah. If you were like, just having like the absolute worst time there, then I don't blame you. You can just leave.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
So anyway, what were you trying to say after that?
Um. Okay, so I was talking about like how the year went. Yeah, I wasn't super motivated at all. So now I had to persevere through the year itself, not just getting better at snare.
Do you think that
And
like the marching band not really caring about that, do you think that affected your thoughts on the school year itself?
what do you mean by like the
Or like
thoughts?
influenced negative feeling towards school?
Ooh, towards school.
Like, "Oh, I don't care about band, so why should I care about school either?"
I don't think it really connected to school. Like, I don't know. I don't. Yeah, I didn't. As much as I didn't like playing, like it was more I didn't like playing the snare drum rather than I didn't like the rehearsals.
Mhm.
So I guess it didn't really carry on
Okay.
to affect school. Yeah. Um. But about the yeah. So one thing I did notice. This is like a large scale thing over the past 3 years I've been doing marching
Yeah.
band. And so I have no idea why, but uh, last year during marching band, I just got this random burst of like super motivation that I used to have, and I'm not sure why, but I would practice in the basement for like a lot. I would learn all this hard stuff, and I was peaking in skill. And I noticed that I just loved rehearsal all of a sudden.
Huh.
Like I was excited every day. I was so excited to go, and I would like stay after for like 30 minutes practicing in the parking lot. And it that just also made me think like you kind of have to like when you're persevering through something, like you have to try to find a way to enjoy it, right?
Mhm.
Like you can find enjoyment out of a lot of things. Like I don't know, if you're not enjoying like studying for something, then if you try to find a way to enjoy it or to get motivated, that's a really good thing to do, I feel
Like, your
like.
mindset just needs to match everything. Like, you have to think of the positive sides to what you're doing. Because if you think of
Yeah,
that
yeah.
and think of why you're doing something or what are the benefits or something, you might actually learn to like it.
Oh, excuse me. Also, yeah, that's true. And like
Yeah.
just like figuring out like, oh, okay, so why am I not motivated to do this? Like what makes me like just think of like anything you're motivated to do,
Mhm.
like a video game. Why do you enjoy playing video games? And think about that and see like how do I connect me enjoying the video games to me enjoying studying? How can I make studying similar to what makes me like video games? Sort of like that.
Right, yeah, like, you could think of, okay, grades are the score, like how a score is to a video game. So,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
I
That's
study
a good
well
point.
and study hard, then I'm playing the game basically to get a good result, to quote unquote "beat the game."
Yeah, exactly. That's like and stuff like that. Obviously, it's not the same for everyone, but it could really make you go from like, I don't want to do this, to like, I really love doing this and doing it more than you even have to.
Right.
So yeah, and like so with band, I would have those ups and downs and motivation, and it was just crazy to me how much more I enjoyed it when I was motivated to play, because the activity is not just like playing, you're also like, marching around, you're talking to people, but when I enjoyed playing, it was so much better. So just find like one part of it that you enjoy doing, and like, I don't know, once you enjoy like one part of it, you could find the whole thing fun and persevere through it easily.
Right, and for other people, that could be the community or working with people or
Yeah.
being a leader or something.
So yeah, that's oh yeah, one thing is there's marching band and winter drumline, right?
Yeah.
Those are separate things. And after 3 seasons of either of those things, so like 3.5 years, the fourth year I was so like demotivated. I was so demotivated. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to do next season. So I just like it was a winter drumline in my sophomore year, and I just didn't sign up
Oh,
for
yeah,
it.
you didn't do it.
Yeah, because I was just so I don't know. I don't want to say sick of it because that makes it seem like it's the teacher's fault, which it isn't. It's just
No, that doesn't.
I don't
It
really.
could just be burnout,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just burnt out. I mean, it wasn't really my fault either for just not being motivated. So,
Yeah,
so I'd say when I did, I didn't necessarily give up. I just realized like I don't care about this anymore. So like, and it's not like my goal was to do any of this in college. If that was my goal, then that'd be kind of giving up, I guess. But
yeah. And I
yeah,
guess
since I
one
was
caveat to this episode is just the idea that perseverance, like, at a moment like this where you feel like you need a break, you're not necessarily giving up because you
yeah,
made a conscious decision of what you think is best. And, like, sometimes,
yeah,
like, really, you need to be able to judge, is this worth persevering? And if so, then you shouldn't give up and you should play till the end. That is definitely a
yeah, exactly.
scenario, but sometimes you do need to know when it's right to make the call of, okay, maybe this is worth dropping or giving up.
That's another thing. Like, just because it's like something that you can get towards doesn't mean that you should get towards it. You shouldn't persevere through like anything if it's like stupid or pointless. Not stupid or pointless, but something that you don't care
Well,
about.
also, like, a really bad example is like if you're in a toxic relationship, for an example, and
Yeah,
it's not even like warning signs, but just explicit, like, there are problems with this relationship. Like, I feel like a common example is for somebody to think to persevere through it. Like, okay, like my partner will get better or I'll get better or something, and I'll just stick with this. And I guess it depends on the relationship and the people and the approach and everything. But if it
mm,
is proven to be bad and have bad things or warning signs like abuse, whether that's physical or verbal, like that's probably not worth persevering.
yeah, it's true. You gotta find that boundary because like stuff like that. That's when perseverance could be a bad thing.
Mhm.
Not just like, it's a waste of time, but like that could really, make be negative for your life. So another thing I want to talk about,
Sure.
another one of these personal anecdotes about perseverance was
Mhm.
something that it happened this year actually. So I noticed over the summer in the past year and a half actually, is I've been growing like super fast. Like
Like tall?
I go to my grandma's. Yeah, yeah. I go to my grandma's, and after 2 weeks of being at her house, she's like, "I think you've grown while you were here." So, yeah. But I mean, I don't know if she was telling the truth or not, but yeah.
Mhm.
And so what happened eventually, oh, actually, you know about this. So in band of last year, 10th grade, my hamstring started
Oh
hurting, right?
yeah.
Yeah. And I would constantly complain about it every day. And it would get worse as the day went on, and when I went to bed, it would like go away. And it only happened when I was sitting or standing still.
Huh.
So it started beginning of 10th grade pretty much,
Mhm.
and it wasn't making me like miserable, but it sucked, and I felt it. It's not like a single day would go by and I just wouldn't feel
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
And so I remember going to the doctor about it, and they like had no idea what it was. Right, first I went to, yeah, I went to my doctor, and she's like, take these pills, and then they didn't do anything.
Huh.
So I went to a different doctor, and he was like, I don't know what it is.
How did they not know what
No,
that is?
no, it was like, I really don't know, honestly. I don't know.
Hmm.
But, so I was just like, whatever. And I went throughout the year, and it was pretty bad, but I didn't think of like, just not showing up to school. So it actually got better at the end of the year. So I kind of forgot about it.
Yeah.
But I would sit in a different position to alleviate how bad it was. I do remember that, so that might have been helping and or making it worse. I'm not
Huh.
sure. But then the school year, fast forward to the school year of 11th grade.
It was last
So
year.
that's this
Yeah, this year.
year. Yeah, or yeah, this year, whatever, same thing.
Yeah.
And the first day I come into class, I'm like, I'm about to have a great year. And then that leg starts hurting. I'm like, damn, I forgot about this thing. And I was like,
Okay,
oh
I'm sorry,
no.
I should be laughing, but this was 'cause
No.
your delivery was so good.
So I come in there, I'm like, dang, I forgot about this little thing. And I don't really exactly remember what happened like throughout the course exactly. In the course of the year, I mean. But I did feel it definitely the first few months.
Mhm.
But somehow it wasn't bad enough to where I was like legit thinking of just being like, I don't want to go to school anymore. I know I went to the doctor and like they did a X-ray and they didn't see anything, so that kind of sucked.
Mhm.
Cause I went there, I was so excited. I'm like, oh my god, I finally get some scans, and then nothing happened. I was like,
Yeah.
I had to deal with it the whole year, and sorry about that. And every class after fourth bell, I would think about it and be like, oh, this thing's annoying. And
Yeah.
I'm 100% sure that it affected like how I did in school, because like I just couldn't focus,
Mhm.
kind of. So I guess fast forward to after winter break,
Uh-huh.
where I've been dealing with it the whole year, but it's not that bad. So this is when it's like peak bad around January. So
And, like, it got worse.
I get back. Yeah, it got way
Huh.
worse over winter break. I came back the first day and I didn't feel it that much. I'm like, oh, it must have gone away. But kind of the opposite happened the second day. It was horrible.
Huh.
So what makes it worse is when you sit longer. And this year, Aves Bell is 90 minutes. You don't, without standing up, which is like, you go 90 minutes without standing up. That's a long time.
Oh, and just for the
And,
viewer to be aware, Aves Bell is our school's, like it's
oh,
like the
yeah.
lunch period that is divided into 3 blocks where there's, like, essentially a study hall where they take, like,
Yeah,
attendance or
it's pretty
something,
much
and
a
then
study
the
hall.
other people go to lunch.
Yeah, so in past years, you'd get like, you'd like go to lunch or something and then come back, or you wouldn't sit for 90 minutes in a row. I know that.
Right,
You'd go
it's
to a
different
different
because
class.
of COVID.
Right. Yeah, 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 basically. So that made it really bad. And I remember I was just sitting 90 minutes straight of I wouldn't be able to think of anything except this leg. And it was in my math class where we had this study hall. So we do math, and I had this entire opportunity to do all of my homework,
Yeah,
right? But I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't even pay attention. I wouldn't even do anything. I'd just sit there
and it would hurt.
and stretch my leg
Yeah.
out. Yeah. So that's when I was really considering, like, okay, maybe I should just really find a way to get out of this, or else I'm not going to school anymore. It wasn't just like, oh, maybe I won't go to school. Like, no, if I didn't find a way to help this, there's no way I would have kept going to school. Which, if we're talking about like perseverance
Yeah.
regarding this, not going to school, that might have not have been like a bad thing, giving up in that, because it was so bad that even though I'd be like out of school, not being educated, I don't think like giving up and just not going to school would be a bad thing, because it was so bad, you
True, but
know?
on the other side, it's like then you lose out on an entire year of any
Yeah.
information.
So that's true. Or the second half, I guess.
Yeah, there's 2 sides
But
of the coin.
so I was just like, I'd go on to find a solution. So I came up with this master plan, and I'm like, I don't think anyone's ever done this, but I'll try because this is a special year. So what I was gonna do was request. So remember how I said that it got worse throughout the
Yeah,
day, right? I was gonna say, so I had this. It was just insane how lucky this is. So my first 4 classes are only in person and not online.
yeah,
So I mean, I was like, okay, that's fine. But all 3 of my classes after that, math, AP, US history, and comp sci, I could just switch to online and be in the same class at the same time with the same people. So it was so lucky. I'm just like, there's how can that even happen? I was crazy. So my plan was to go home at 10:30 every day, so I could do the last 3 online, and that would make everything so much
huh.
easier. Like, not even just easier, like possible, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
So I sent the request. I'm like, or I sent the text to my mom asking, do you know how to like ask them? Because they're obviously gonna need parent permission for something as crazy as that.
yeah,
And she was like, all right, I'll send it through. I don't know what's going on through her head, if she was doubtful or
yeah,
not, but
yeah.
yeah, I'm not sure. And I I didn't know what to expect. Uh, sheesh. I was just like, if it goes through and works, like that'd be really awesome. But if it didn't, like I'd really have to fight this. I don't know.
Right.
So it took like 4 days before the administrators could do anything. So after like 3 days, they were like, "Oh, I need a doctor's note." So we sent in like 2 doctor's notes. Oh, wait, no, I'll get to that later. I was gonna say something, but so 2 doctor's notes, and we sent those in. And 2 days after we sent those, I got the best text message of my life. I was in A push. I vividly remember this. A push class. It was like 110, 115, somewhere around there. And I checked my phone, text from mom. I'm like, all right. And then it said that it went through and I could go home at 10:30 every day. And I was so happy.
Bro,
I was like,
it was like God's
like
grace.
it was crazy. Because not only that work, but like this is the only year where it could have worked.
True. Yeah.
Like think about it. Like, oh my gosh, I don't know. It's so lucky.
Right, yeah.
But
But then again, it wasn't lucky that your leg was in pain.
yeah, yeah, that is true. That was very unfortunate.
But I mean, you also persevered through it, you know?
Yeah, it's like getting a sickness and like overcoming it somehow. I don't know, kind of like that.
Yeah.
So ever since then, I just went home every day, and I'd be able to like lie down in my chair instead of in a soft chair instead of having to sit all upright in some hard chair,
Yeah.
and that really helped it out.
Mhm.
So I noticed giant improvement in day-to-day life when that happened, like, because it was really, like, really bad, like, I didn't really enjoy I just enjoy things because of the leg,
Mhm.
but
And also,
when I could
weren't
go
you
home every
working
day.
this year too? Like a job?
Yeah, I was also gonna say that's why I quit for 4 months
Oh, right.
because yeah, like, every shift was horrible.
Uh,
It was like I don't know, I wouldn't even do it for 20 an hour, it was just awful, and I would take breaks, like, whenever I could, and everyone was like, "Oh, this kid's such a bum." But, like, it was really bad. But I don't blame him, I didn't tell anyone because like, I don't wanna be like, "Eh." I don't
no,
know, I
yeah,
just
you didn't
wanted
wanna, like, seem like that guy, you know?
Yeah, exactly, so I was just like, "You know what, it'll be better if I just quit."
Yeah.
Um, so my boss, he's really chill, he's such a cool dude.
Mhm.
So he was just like, "Yeah, it's fine." I didn't even have to tell him why, I was just like, "Yeah."
Huh.
And, winter winter drumline, you do stand for 2.5 hours, but when we moved around, it was, like, really it didn't hurt at all. It was weird how it only hurt when I was standing still, but not when I was moving around.
Oh, it almost
But
seems like the
anyways,
opposite, right?
yeah, yeah. So at this point, we still don't know what it is. So now all this worked out, but we still have to figure out how to fix it, obviously.
Right.
So we go to another doctor, MRI, and they're just like, we found this tiny little like weird thing,
Thing?
and I'm just like, I don't even know what it is. I think it's just like, oh, the muscle's not placed right
Okay.
because you're growing so fast.
So it was like a
I'm pretty.
growth spurt and
Yeah, it
and
does. It is, but
you were growing so fast that your leg, like, could not keep up with it?
yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. It's not like normal. Oh, yeah. It's not like oh, you're just having growing
That's
pains.
crazy.
It's not like that. It was just like something really went wrong, and I don't know. So it wasn't stretched out enough. So I'm like, okay. And then they recommended a physical therapist
Hmm.
to me, and I was like, at first I was reluctant because it took time out of my day. It was really boring, but I was like, whatever to fix this crap, I'll do. So I didn't even think about saying no to that, of course,
Mhm.
because I didn't have to pay for it. So I did it, and I didn't see really any difference for the first, really like month.
Mhm.
But then after 2.5 months of doing it, I started noticing like it's getting better, and that really, I don't know, that really just brightened
Kinda like that
my mood.
improvement you talked about with snare drumming.
Yeah, yeah, that improvement. And since it's physical therapy and people are managing you, they have these checkpoints. So, they'd measure like how much my hamstring stretched and like the scale of the pain.
Yeah.
So when I went to these therapist people, they were like they were like pushing down on the hamstring at all these different points as hard as they
Ugh.
could. And none of it gave off any pain. And they were just like, what? Like, we've never seen this. Usually when we push down on it,
We need
it
the heavy
hurts.
artillery. They,
Yeah,
like, bring
you
out
can
the welder, and he just, like, starts freaking welding your leg.
exactly. But it was so funny. No matter what they did, nothing would happen, and then I'd just sit down and it would hurt, and they're just like, "What?"
Yeah, so
Like,
they're, like, basically jackhammering your leg at this point, and just when you sit down in a chair, it's like
and they're just like, "What the hell is this?"
Okay, okay, I just wanna clarify something real quick. I was
Yeah,
I bet if somebody was listening to this, there's points where I was just, like, inexplicably laughing, but to somebody listening, it's like, "Okay, why is this guy laughing? He's telling a serious story that's, like, sad."
No,
Like, it sucks,
yeah.
but the reason why is just, like, I remember when I was, like, with you at some point, and your leg was hurting, and I just always have, like, a weird, like, humorous memory of this because this was a point where we
Yeah.
didn't know what was wrong with you. So you were just
Yeah,
like, "Hey, can you hand me that bass drum stick?" And then you just would start whacking your leg. Like,
Oh,
all
the
I
memory.
remember from this whole thing, like, I can't stop laughing even though this is serious because you just every single time you'd mention it, we would just beat you with a stick. It's so good.
Oh my god, I completely forgot about that.
Like, "Hey, can you hand me that bass drum stick," and just, like, beat me right here in the hamstring. Did that even
I'm
help
not
at
a
all?
no, it just it's like
Yeah,
it
okay.
just alleviated the pain from when I striked the hamstring, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
'Cause, like, my it would automatically my brain would be like, "Oh, there's something hitting your leg," instead of, like, "Your hamstring's hurting," and it didn't feel as bad, so I was just like, "Let's just do that." 'Cause, I mean, it sounded really stupid and silly, but,
Yeah, it
it
was
did
just so
help.
primitive of us of, like, "What? My leg hurts." "Well, why does it hurt?" "I don't know. Let's start whacking it." Like, the most
Oh
Neanderthal
gosh.
thing of all time. Okay, sorry, you
Oh,
can keep
yeah,
going, but to the
that was
audience, that
funny.
is why I keep laughing.
Yeah. Okay, where was I? Oh, shoot.
You were talking about, like,
So,
physical
like
therapy, and when you sat
yeah.
down, it hurt.
Oh, yeah. So they were really confused, and they were just like, "You know what, let's just try some, like, hamstring stretches, because 'cause you're growing so stupidly fast that, like, I'd be surprised if it was anything else, you know? So it's like,
Yeah. Did your appetite, like, increase too?
my appetite.
Yeah, I thought that, like, being insanely hungry, um, was, like, a sign of growth spurts,
Hmm.
or at least that's what that one SpongeBob
Oh.
episode taught me.
I don't really know. I think I was, like, a few years ago, but
Mm.
I'm not really
Alright, well, whatever,
I
that
don't
was just a side comment, continue.
yeah. So they were just like, "Let's do some hamstring stretches," and at first it was like it was horrible. I was so unflexible.
Mhm.
Like, they were just like, "Dang, you need to get that better." So I continued to stretch it and also strengthening, like, other muscles, because apparently they figured out that it wasn't just the hamstring, it was, like, the back, some, like, back muscle
Hmm,
wasn't that's connected to it.
like,
I still
inside
don't
of
know
the
how
leg?
that works. Yeah, like I don't even know,
Huh,
but yeah, it was connected.
yeah,
And so I strengthened that and also my glutes. And then I was like, I don't know how this could possibly help.
mhm.
But it was like, I'll just trust the people who know what they're talking about. It worked after 2 months. It went away to like a point where I could definitely feel it, but I didn't even really notice it. Like it was just like the pain was like barely noticeable, right? So it was funny because this happened at like May, where it was like really good now, or not May, or earlier, like April. And so one thing that I was really happy about was so not only does my leg not hurt anymore, but I still get home at like 10:30.
Oh, nice.
So I'd go, yeah, I'd get like Subway and Canes every day. It was awesome until I ran out of money. But then I started I started working again.
Well, don't give the audience any, fiscally irresponsible advice, so this is not the
Yeah,
takeaway,
don't
guys.
do that.
Don't blow your money on Subway and Cane's.
Don't do it on Raising Cane's, you know? I mean, it may sound like a good idea, but even the best food on the
Hey,
planet
take
gets
it from
old
him, right?
after. Yeah. So I was like, it was crazy how much I was just not happy at all. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't depressed, but I just wasn't happy because of the leg. I'd just be like, oh, I don't want to get out of bed.
Right.
Like if I stayed in bed all day, I'd be like hella happy. But like it's because of the leg, you know. So when it stopped hurting, I was so much better off.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. Yeah,
But
and
it's like, think about that climb too. It's not just like, "Okay, I'm better now. I'm gonna, like, not care
yeah,
anymore." Like, now you have an appreciation, first of all, of, like, not feeling pain anymore because it's been such a
yeah,
long time.
exactly. Oh my gosh, that's something I've out of not just me, people take for granted is like, oh, I wish I had all these. Like people say, like, oh, I wish I had all these things like money, and I wish I was this kid who had all the money for the shoes. But like,
Yeah.
what you really should be grateful for is like not having all this dog shit health stuff and all this pain because it just sucks, you know.
Right.
And you don't really know how much it sucks until you know it happens to you. Like if you get I don't know, like Crohn's disease or something like that,
Mhm.
that will take away like a year of your life. I
Right,
don't
but
know.
also think about, like, not only this newfound gratitude, but you you persevered through this. Like, at every point, you could have, like, just given up on everything and said, "Okay, my leg hurts.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna do anything anymore." I mean, sure, you had to take off work, but that's something you had to do. Like, you literally couldn't work
yeah,
anymore.
yeah,
But you don't, like, blow
exactly.
off friends. You still kept up with your academics. Like, just because you went home at 10:30 didn't mean that you
Yeah,
just were
exactly.
blowing off school. You were still doing it just online in a way that was better for you because you were in pain.
Yeah, exactly. Like my GPA didn't, you know, it didn't go down and go up. It's I still maintained it
Right.
throughout the second semester. So it wasn't just like some lousy excuse. I mean, obviously, you know, it was really bad. I
No,
wouldn't
like, it was real,
ever.
yeah.
Yeah. So that probably is my best anecdote of perseverance because now I'm just so much better off.
Right, like,
And I
you could have given up on the therapy because it's like, "Okay, it's not working, like
oh yeah,
still
that
hurts."
was yep. That was really at one point I was just like, oh my gosh, can't believe I have to do this because you know I it was like 3 times a week. I'd drive like 20 minutes down to do it for an hour.
Right.
It would be after school, and I'd just be like, I don't want to do this, but I wasn't ever just like skipping it, you know?
Yeah, I feel like that's
So
another thing too. It's like kinda how we talked about earlier in this video about, like, brushing teeth, something as simple as that.
yeah,
It's like
yeah,
a lot of people have to take medicine for, like, ADHD or OCD, bipolar disorder, like, stuff like that, something that
hmm
requires constant reinforcement of medication, and oftentimes, especially with the bipolar, disorder, um it's something weird where it's like, after you take your medicine and we actually, discussed this in an earlier episode, the acceptance and loss episode, um, where when you have bipolar disorder and you start taking medicine, it's like, okay, so now your emotions are basically regulated, as bipolar people
oh
usually
yeah,
tend to be like the word suggests, polar. Like you have mania. You're so happy all the time. Like you're always energetic. And then your low points where you can't even wake up the next day. But when you take your medicine, you feel just consistently better because it regulates your emotions. That's what the medicine does. That's why it's prescribed. But when you start
yeah,
feeling good, it almost makes you wonder, like, okay, well, now I feel fine. I don't need to take the medication anymore.
yeah,
But you really do you need to keep up with it. And it's that perseverance of like, I know it sucks that you have to take pills every day or something. It sucks that you have to brush your teeth every day. It sucks that you had to do physical therapy for your leg. It's like, why can't this stuff be over with? Why can't I just have consistently regulated emotions? Why can't my dental hygiene just not go bad? Why can't my leg just start working properly again? But I don't know. I guess life just it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, because when I was like done with the physical therapy, they gave me like these stretches similar to the ones that we did there that I should work on. And I was just like, okay, I'll do it. And like, I kind of didn't do them for a little bit. And I could tell it got worse. So that was like kind of proof that the stretches helped. So I started doing it again. And after a few weeks, it was like so much better again, like went away. So I don't know. It was, you really gotta like, if something seems like it's getting better, right? And it's through something that you don't want to do,
Yeah.
and you can't just stop doing it immediately because it could just go back down to the dumps. And
Yeah. And
I don't
also
know.
something you're striving for, like this is an example for something you need to keep up with. And also you could throw in like nutrition or uh, like exercise, like being physically healthy or mental health, like taking care of yourself in
Yeah,
many ways like that. But also you could think of perseverance like with the snare drum example we talked about earlier. It's like it's all about you need to put in the practice, of course, but you need to stick with it because if you end up quitting, but you know that that's not necessarily right, like even though it might have its moments where you just want to quit, where it's a Saturday and your band director keeps you like there till 4 and
uh,
it's extremely hot and everybody's tired
yeah,
or whatever. It's like a day like that truly sucks. Like there's no doubt about that. But if we just quit on a day like that, then we wouldn't have seen the next day that was much better.
yeah,
And that's kind of like the will to live in general, not to like get depressing or too deep like that. But like if you
mm,
think about it, like there's a lot of things to the world that are not pleasant, things that we have to deal with. A lot of micro levels and macro levels. Like I don't know, a macro thing could be like world politics or something that weighs on your head. Micro things could be just like jamming your knee into the corner of the table.
yeah,
Like these things that just kind of suck or they're annoying or things in your control, but you are just clumsy or things out of your control and you need to find a cope for it. And it's easy to just say, why bother? I don't care anymore. Like, why have a reason to wake up in the morning? And like, I'm not gonna exaggerate this or anything. There are going to be days that will test your endurance, will test your perseverance and your persistence. Like,
yeah,
there will be days that are truly awful. Although, to be fair, like, awful is a subjective word. Like, your life can be as good or bad as you want it to be. It's really all about your mindset. But really, if we don't live to see the next day, then I don't know what to tell you. Like, there's always going to be something better. I know that that's a cliche of like, oh no, like you have so much to live for or something. Like I know we've all heard that, but truly think about the merit. Like, I know a lot of people, especially in our age group, it's like maybe you go to a party and it's like you have the time of your life. And then the next day, the music stops and you're home alone, and it's like 2 PM when you slept in that late, and it's like really bright and hot outside, and all the lights in the house are dark, and it's just like you just feel so awful. Like I had the time
oh
of my
yeah,
life, and now I'm just here alone, bored, and nothing to do, and what's the point anymore? But like, there's going to be
yeah,
another party.
yeah, exactly.
Sorry for
Alright.
monologuing so long, but what do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I was just gonna say you gotta keep that in mind. Like, I don't know. It's that there's another one. It's not the last one. But
Mhm.
so we were talking about like like talking about some of this perseverance stuff. I don't remember exactly what you said. That reminded me of this, but okay, this is really embarrassing, but I don't care anyways
Okay.
because it happened in front of everyone. So were you there when I sort of had a little bit of a doozy in the marching band,
A doozy?
like in the middle of the day? Yeah. So I'll just go through what happened. You may be able to see where this is going depending on the first few things I say, but so I get to rehearsal, I have everything, and then I leave to the Greg Center where we're practicing. It's just the drum line. We're like playing, We're not marching there
Yeah,
at all. I mean, we might have done a little bit of I don't know, I forget what it's called, where we just walk and play for a little bit, tracking, yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, outside of that, not much. So Lamb, our teacher, of course, was just like, "All right, guys, it's time for a water break." And I noticed that I didn't have my water, uh, and I didn't ask for water either, which is very, very awful idea. I should have asked the teacher, like, "Oh, can I get my water bottle? Because I left it in the
Yeah.
school." So, so then later I didn't tell anyone. I mean, I told some of the other kids, but they were just like, "Oh, I forgot what they said." I didn't tell the teacher. I should have done that because I thought he'd get mad that I left it. Uh, so I was just like, "Okay, I guess I'll just try to get through this block without water."
Uh-huh.
So I did do that. Horrible idea. We got onto the field. We didn't even have our drums on, right? No instruments. We're just walking.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I start feeling dizzy. I'm just like, okay, it's hot outside. Can you see where this is going?
You just faint?
Yeah. Like I start. This was one of the weirdest feelings in my life. Like dizzy, my vision went blurry, and when I started, like, I had this horrible dizziness. It was like a fever,
Yeah.
and it lasted for minutes, like literally minutes. And for some reason, I didn't sit down. Like I knew, oh, if I sat down, it'd help, but I didn't sit down. So by doing that, I chose fainting
Yeah.
in front of like 100 people instead of sitting down, which was, you know, I don't know, kind of weird. But
Huh.
I didn't know that would happen. But my vision went blurry, and then my vision ended up going black. Like it was really scary because that's not something that happens.
Yeah.
Like when it went black. So I walked out, and it was really funny. I looked like a zombie, like because I couldn't see anything, and then my arms were sticking out like whole. And Mr. Geralti, a different teacher, came out with a tractor and had me sit down on it. The second I sat down, I felt fine.
Huh.
Like I went from fever, hell sick, no vision to like. I mean, I still felt bad, but of course, but like
Yeah.
I could see, and I was just like, oh my god, I just did that in front of everyone. And then yeah, and then Wham, the teacher who I failed to tell I didn't have my water, he was like, dude, you gotta tell me when you don't have your water, because stuff like that can happen. I was like, all right, that was stupid of me.
Right.
So I just went home that day, of course.
So
And
what's the
a year
perseverance
later,
lesson with this?
so it was actually a lesson to not persevere through like everything,
Mm.
because my goal was, okay, I'm gonna persevere through this, and but you got to realize the consequences,
Right, you
you
gotta be
know
smart still.
exactly, because I don't know if I just didn't do that. I mean, I wouldn't have not none of that would have happened.
Yeah.
And actually, like a year after this happened, some random kid who I've never heard of was like, "Oh, you're that kid who fainted during band." And I'm like, "What the
I
hell?
don't even
How do
remember
you know
this.
me?"
Was this at a time I was there?
No, the year you weren't. year maybe,
Huh.
and I don't know. This was sophomore year. That's what
Like marching band?
I
I don't
think.
remember you fainting.
Please tell me it wasn't this year. Oh my gosh, that's
It
bad.
probably
No, I
was.
remember. No, no, no. I remember I was in health, and yeah, no, it was definitely my sophomore year. Yeah, because we're talking about it in health class, and it was during a Saturday day, so maybe you weren't there for that Saturday.
Mm.
It was a 7-hour thing, but yeah, that's the lesson. Don't force yourself to do anything, even if you know,
Just have
even if you be
proper
impaired.
judgment. Like, if you know that you need water or something, like, go get the water, and that's kind of like a swallow your pride type lesson.
Yeah,
Don't just, like, persevere for no real reason or anything, you know?
yeah,
Like, you need to eat, you need to drink, you need to sit down, you need to stand up, like, make sure you're just taking care of yourself.
exactly. It's not something that just happened out of nowhere. Like I was feeling horrible for 10 minutes, and then when it happened, I wasn't even surprised, but I just didn't think it would happen.
Right.
That's all.
Yeah, so I
So
guess
you,
because um, we're close to the end here, what
yeah.
do you think is the big takeaway here? Like, yeah, with perseverance.
So with perseverance, when it comes to something that you want to achieve, you should always go for it, but know your boundaries.
Mm,
And giving up is not something you should do unless you consciously weigh all the, negatives and positives, and it's good. But
mhm,
if it's not a good thing to do, don't just give up because you're lazy. That's never a good thing. But if you're like taking a break or something, there's no problem with that as long as it's justified.
mhm.
That's my takeaway of it.
Yeah, I guess that is a really good takeaway of just be smart, be proper. Sometimes you might think that it's truly like a conscious decision that is pointing towards, okay, I should give up on something. And you might actually
Yeah.
firmly believe that it is good, but you just need to keep an eye on it. Sometimes you do need to just suck it up. Sometimes you need to just be able to say, okay, this isn't worth it and walk away. I know this is kind of a
Mm,
vague like lesson here, but I think you'll just have to look out for the scenarios.
yeah.
Just be true to yourself really, and then if you know your limits and know what you want to do and know what you want out of something, I think it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, because a lot of times you're really the only one who knows what's best for you,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So,
So
yeah.
yeah,
What
anyway,
a
thanks so much for joining me, Aiden.
problem. It was kind of fun talking about this stuff.
Yeah. Do you need me to smack your leg with a giant bass drum mallet?
Next school year,
Okay.
hop on over to the band room sometime. We'll make it happen.
Giant mallet. What about a mace?
I don't know. Yeah, sure, that'll work.
Your
That'll
hamstring
work.
is mine, buddy. So yeah, anyway,
Okay, dude.
this has been Perseverance, and I hope you guys never give up pursuing your dreams. And with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.